Everyone and welcome to the Learning Ladders. Today I'm doing a review of what we use for science this year in homeschool. So I integrated our science into Dragon Academy, which is my Wings of Fire unit study. And we did kitchen chemistry from Nomad Press, biomes from Nomad Press, and biodiversity from Nomad Press. So those are our curriculum, if you like. We have done an additional science unit from The Good and Beautiful, but I'm not including that in this review because we still haven't finished that one yet. As part of Dragon Academy, we also used Science Experiments You Can Eat and the Kitchen Science Cookbook, Geology Lab for Kids. So we'll start with the Nomad Press ones first because they're the curriculum, I guess. So the first one we did was Kitchen Chemistry, which is Core Crystals, Rocking Reactions and Magical Mixtures with hands-on activities. This one was 9 chapters in total if you include the introduction, and it covered things from atoms and molecules, mixtures, gases, liquids, solids, everything you could think of. Now, the thing that I really liked about these books is they would link with QR codes to different websites or videos, and that's how I like to make my own resources when I'm making them, because I think it brings learning to life, rather than just reading about it, you can see it. So there was that throughout, which I did really enjoy. The only thing I would say is sometimes the links had expired, so the website wasn't available, but they do mention in the introduction to Google names with similar videos and things, and that's what we would do. But that's unfortunately the way of the internet. Some things can be there one day and gone the next, so unfortunately that's just something you have to accept. However, I still think it was beneficial to add it because when it worked, it was great. So as I said, the chapters are all similar in the fact that you always have an essential question. There are always words to know for vocabulary. They have little cartoon comic strips throughout, which is really fun. My daughter really enjoyed those, and this is what I mean about where there is a QR code that you will link to watch a video or go to a website about the specific thing they're talking about. At the end, it would always circle back to what is the essential question, so you can go over that and make sure you feel like you've covered it. And then at the end of each chapter, they will have different activities. So for the first introduction, it was just one. But generally speaking, there were 2 to 4 activities. So we'll have a look at this next chapter. So this was atoms and molecules. Again, you've got your words to know, links for you to watch or read if it's a website, extracts of data and things for you to look at, diagrams and such, and then you get to your experiment. So it will always tell you at the top what toolbox you would need, so what the equipment and things, discuss what's happening, and then a think about it section, which I really appreciated. Look at one more. So this was gases. So there is quite a lot to read, but we would just split it up throughout the week. To read so much per day. I would often look for the extra activities or videos as well if I thought we could find them to add to it. So on my if you saw my schedule for Dragon Academy that I made, I will link to additional videos that we could watch as well that would help. So the activities are here, an explanation as to what's happening in the activity, and so on. So that was kitchen chemistry. I did think it was a very good unit. I do think that I appreciated all the extras that they added with the videos and things. It is very freeform because obviously there's not a lesson plan day 1, day 2, day 3, so you just have to bear that in mind. But I did like the flexibility that gave us, and it worked perfectly with Dragon Academy in terms of what I had plans for this year, because I did want to introduce the other books rather, that I'll show you in a minute. But yes, for our purposes, it worked really well. So that was kitchen chemistry. Next, we did biomes, discover the Earth's ecosystems with environmental science activities. This one had 12 chapters if you include the introduction, and was the same setup with the I love the little comic strips with all the reading, the essential question, the words you should know, and then the activities at the back. It also did have QR codes as well throughout that you could link to. And there were some really fun activities that went along with this one as well. And we really did enjoy this one a lot. I think out of all of them, this was probably one of our favourites. But there was just so many fun little biology activities that you could do. Things that you could do at home, experiment with acid rain, make bird feeders and so on. There was lots of fun activities, and we really did enjoy this one. So out of the 3, I would say this and biodiversity were probably our favourites. So this one is biodiversity, We have just a couple of chapters left in this one, and then we're done. So we have 7 plus introduction, and it does go really well with biomes. There is a lot of information in here that is similar, but it just expands upon and looks at more of it as a ecosystem level. And it was just a really, really good introduction to the topic. I think you can definitely elaborate on it and add more to it, but for our purposes, I feel like it gave us everything we needed, and it was a really, really interesting way to do science this year. Okay, so what I added in terms of our Dragon Academy schedule is I tie them up if I could, so if it was a similar experiment, but that wasn't always possible. So what I just did mainly was go through them and find experiments that I thought would be useful to us, that we would enjoy doing, and then I also found videos to go along with them. So the first one was science experiments you can eat, and this just had a bunch of different experiments that you could do, broken up into different categories. I'd say this is definitely for your older child, because the explanation's quite in depth. I really do appreciate that it gives you the explanation. So you have the materials and equipment, the procedure, an explanation at the beginning, observations at the back before you go on to your next activity. So I'd say that this is definitely more for upper elementary, middle school. That's where I would put it, but obviously you can adapt it to whatever age of your children. This was a fantastic book. We really did enjoy this one. And then there's the Kitchen Science Cookbook. This is much more visual. There's lots of pictures. My daughter really did like this one as well. Again, we have all the different experiments that they will do. You've got your ingredients, instructions, and it does go into the science behind, and then there is an explore further section. I would say this is probably the younger of the two books, but I do think you can still get a lot out of this. We did enjoy it using it, even though we are in 6th grade. There was lots of fun things in here that we hadn't tried before, and there was a few things that we want to do again over the summer because she really enjoyed them that much. So that's all of our cooking, if you like. So I incorporated the cooking into our, as I said, into our Dragon Academy as part of our Prey Centre activities. Prey Centre is the kitchen, the Dragon's Kitchen in the Wings of Fire books. So that's why it was called Prey Centre Studies, and it went really well with the science experiments you can eat scenario. The other thing we did though was Geology Lab for Kids. Now, this is really actually, again, goes really well with Wings of Fire book series because they live in mountains, some of them are buried under the mountains, so it is very relevant too. Their school is in a cave, so it's all very relevant as well. But we have really enjoyed doing this Geology Lab for Kids book as well. We haven't finished it yet because we haven't finished our school year yet, but we've been enjoying what we've done so far. So basically, again, you've got your materials, safety tips, enrichment, tells you the protocol. It does include the science behind it. And there is lots of fun. I'll just go back to the contents. There are lots of fun activities that you can do. I did add several hands-on kits and things. So we got a rock tumbler. We also got geodes, and we got different rocks, minerals, and gems. And into our Dragon Academy unit study, I scheduled a notebooking section where we would do our element study. So we did it with our chemistry. So I added onto the chemistry science book with Noah Press. I did make 2 notebooking journals, if you like. So one of them is elements, which covered the periodic table, which we did when we were using the kitchen chemistry book from Noah Press. And then we're currently doing this one now, which is the rocks, minerals, and gems to go along with our geology lab time. These are stunning books. Highly, highly recommend them if you're doing a geology study, in terms of this book. So what I had her do, if you notice down the side, it has the group, formula, colour, and so on, for the rocks, minerals, and gems. And again, for the periodic table book, again, it's got all the atomic number and everything. For the chemistry unit, all the elements of the periodic table. And I made notebooking pages. So for when it was the elements of the periodic table, which we used with the kitchen chemistry book from my press, she would write the element, the chemical symbol, define it, the mass number, the uses of the element, draw it, atomic number, the state, and then boiling point, melting points. And I also made them for rocks, minerals, and gems. So along with our geology lab for kids, which we're still currently using at the moment, we are also doing rocks, minerals and gems and notebooking through that with our elements study. Our prey centre is where we keep all our experiments, and all our sheets are like this that we use to go along with any experiments that we have done throughout, whether that's through the Nomad Press books or through the Science Experiments You Can Eat, Kitchen Science Cookbook, activity books as well. So that's everything we've been doing for science this year, apart from we did a kingdoms and classifications unit, which we haven't quite finished yet, from the good and the beautiful. But this is our main science, so we have really enjoyed it. I think either biomes or biodiversity was one of our favourites. We did really enjoy the kitchen science chemistry book, though, don't get me wrong. We have really, really enjoyed these two. As I said, she wants to do some of the experiments again from these over the summer. Geology Lab for Kids has been a great resource, and we have absolutely loved these books. It's just they're so amazing. Look how they're just beautifully presented and so interactive in so many different ways you can use them. I did have a list of elements for her to go through, but I think over the summer what I'm going to do is just let us pick some additional ones to just notebook as well through, in case there's anything else that she wants to add. But that's what we've been doing for science this year. So if you've got any questions, leave them below, and I will see you in our next video. Take care. Bye for now.